Do you have a problem with the Our Father? Hey everyone, it's Kyle Copey, and we're talking about the famous prayer, the Lord's Prayer, the Our Father, the prayer that Jesus gave us to pray when his disciples asked him how to pray. And this has come under seemingly attack recently by not a member of the Catholic Church, but a member of that schismatic heretical group, the Church of England, the Anglicans. Yes, that's right. We're talking about them. And apparently it's the Archbishop of York. This man's name is Stephen Cottrell. We call him an archbishop, but as Catholics know, he's not really a bishop. He's a guy who dresses up like a bishop, but he's, again, part of a schismatic movement. So there we go. So he can say whatever he wants. They had a synod recently, as if you followed this at all, you'll know that there's a lot of problems in the Church of England. When you have heretical schismatic groups, there tends to be a lot of breakdown. And what are they having? They're having a controversy over women, bishops, and priests, and blessings of same-sex so-called marriages and whatever. This is what you get in the Church of England. People are giving Archbishop York a lot of flack recently for something he said about the Our Father. He thinks that maybe there's a problem with it. Let's see what he actually said. So the headline here reads, and I'm reading from the Guardian's coverage of this. Their headline is this: "The Lord's Prayer opening may be problematic," says Archbishop. Okay, sounds kind of bad. What's the problem with the Our Father? So far, so bad. The subtitle: Archbishop of York tells General Synod that the Our Father has patriarchal connotations. Heaven forbid that we involve any type of masculine gender when it comes to referring to God. That would be just crazy. It's not like Jesus came as a man or anything, right? Okay, so it sounds bad at the outset. I'm going to actually have a little bit softer take on this because I don't know the whole context of it. I know that, again, there's a lot of problems going on in the Church of England, but actually this may not, and I could be wrong, but this may not be as bad as people think. Now, before you accuse me of defending an Anglican, I just want to give them the best benefit of the doubt here because I think there's actually a way to salvage what this guy says, if he means what I think he means, and maybe he doesn't. Maybe he wants to actually change the Our Father, which of course I wouldn't agree with. Okay, so let's see what Cottrell actually says here, because I don't want to take him out of context. I want to get the full context of what he's saying. I want to parse kind of what he's saying to see if there's any way to salvage it, because on my first read of it, I thought that people may be overreacting. They might hear him use the word problematic when explaining the Our Father, and that may freak many people out, but he may actually have a good reason for doing this. And I'm going to see if we can't find that good reason, if there is a reason to be found. Again, I may be wrong on this. So Cottrell actually says, let me just set the context for you here. So this is in a synodal meeting for the Church of England. I think he's giving some type of speech. And he's talking about Christian unity. You know, there's a lot of strife within the Church of England right now. We mentioned all the problems, same-sex blessings, female bishops, all this nonsense, and he wants unity within the church. Okay, that's a good thing. Kind of hard to get when you have a heretical group, but here we go. He says this, quote, "I know the word father is problematic for those whose experience of earthly fathers has been destructive and abusive, and for all of us who have labored rather too much from an oppressively patriarchal grip on life." Okay, stop right there. That's really all he says about this. I want to take that first part. He knows the word father is problematic. He didn't stop there. He didn't say, well, it's problematic because it's problematic to refer to God as father because he's not a father and he's gender neutral and you shouldn't refer to him with a masculine pronoun. He actually didn't say that. He qualified it. He explained himself. Why is it problematic? Not for me. He didn't say that for him, Cottrell. Maybe he thinks that, maybe he doesn't. But he qualifies it. He says it's problematic for who? For those whose experience of earthly fathers has been destructive and abusive. Honestly, I agree with him 100% on this. It is a common fact of the Christian life. And actually, the philosopher, who was no friend of Christians, by the way, Friedrich Nietzsche, pointed this out. If you have a strained relationship with your earthly father, it's going to be exceedingly difficult for you to have a good relationship with your heavenly Father. In other words, the damage that may or may not have been done to you by your earthly father, whether he's absent, abusive, physically, verbally, whatever, he's not in the picture. It's very hard for those type of people who have this absent or non-existent, sort of out of the picture father, to come to a realization of a loving fatherly God. So that's actually a good Christian psychological observation, is that it is. I'm sure it is for the boy who grew up without a dad, the boy who grew up with a dad who wasn't present, who was a workaholic, who was never around. I'm sure it is problematic for that young man to grow up and pray to God as Father. It's not good. There's ways for him to overcome that, and he should, and that actually would help him with his absent father, to know that there is a loving heavenly Father, a sort of exemplar of what the Father should be. That's why God the Father tells us to refer to him with that particular masculine pronoun. So just that simple observation, I'm fine with this. So that's actually a good read on this. I know a lot of people are jumping on him for this, but maybe this isn't warranted. Now, I don't know about that second part. He goes on to say, and for all of us who have labored rather too much from an oppressively patriarchal grip on life, that sounds like it's getting a little more social justice. That sounds like it's getting more of a little, well, the patriarchy is bad type of thing. So I can see where the critique comes in there. And also you have to put this in the context of last February, the Church of England said it would consider whether or not to stop referring to God as He after some priests in the Church of England asked to be allowed to use gender-neutral terms instead. Again, I don't know if Cottrell was one of those people who's on board with that, or if he's simply just observing the Christian psychological fact of absent father equals hard to have a relationship with God the Father type thing. I don't know. And maybe he is. Maybe he's saying we should change the prayer. But a bunch of people just, jumped on board and said, well, what is he talking about? Is he saying the Lord's Prayer is bad? All kinds of people within the Church of England and from without. Famous Anglican deacon, I think he's an Anglican deacon, Calvin Robinson. I know he's not Catholic. A bunch of Catholics have interviewed him recently. I know he's on the Matt Fradd show. Calvin Robinson tweeted this out. We call it the Lord's Prayer because it is the prayer that the Lord gave us. He taught us to pray it. Okay, all well and good. We call God our Father because that is how He instructed us to address Him. Correct. We didn't just make this up. The patriarchal church didn't just make up the fact that Jesus was a man, that He chose to come to earth as a man, that God in the Old Testament and the New Testament is referred to as Father. Is the Archbishop saying Christ was wrong, that God made a mistake? I honestly don't think, there's a way to read that as he may not be. Maybe he's just pointing out this simple psychological fact. Maybe he agrees with the wording of the Our Father. Maybe he knows the fact that God tells us to refer to him as Father, and that Jesus Christ was an actual man, and that the patriarchy is good. So just based on this statement, and not knowing anything else about Cottrell or his, may or may not be misdeeds in joining some of the members of the Church of England calling for gender-neutral terms, I don't know if he's on board with that. Maybe it is. Maybe you can inform me, leave a comment below. Again, don't accuse me unjustly of just randomly supporting an Anglican or defending the Church of England. That's not what I'm doing. I think I've spoken clearly about that in this video. But I just want to give a little bit of context to what's going on here, and maybe to point out that maybe we're wrong about this. Maybe we shouldn't be jumping all over this guy if he's just pointing out this simple psychological fact. Again, could be wrong. Let me know about your thoughts in the comments below. And yeah, I think we could end up there. Said what we all know and what we all need to say. The Our Father is good. It should not be changed. The masculine pronouns are good. I've seen people try to take these out of the Catholic Mass. There's been certain points in the Mass where, we refer to God as He even, and people try to swap out just the generic word God for He because they don't like it. And I've heard this going to a lot of Novus Ordo daily masses growing up. There'd be the modernists or people who are unbeknownst to them, modernistly influenced, swapping out the words because they don't want to use, or they've been told, or they've been conditioned somehow not to use those masculine pronouns at Mass. All bad stuff. I hope that's not what's going on here. I hope this Cottrell is not calling for that. I really hope that's not the case. Maybe he is. But again, that first part of what he said, there's really no problem with that. He's pointing out something that's common to many people who are living the Christian experience who've had absent or abusive, in some way, fathers. All right, everyone, I just thought I'd offer my 2 cents on that. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Please consider supporting us on Patreon in the link below, and we'll see you next time. God bless you.